Good evening. Welcome to the Haywood County Board of Commissioners meeting for October 20th, 2014. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please stand.
Bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, and we thank you for everything that you provide for us, Lord. Dear Lord, we thank you for you bringing home the troops of the 11th Military Police Company who returned home and celebrated that return on Sunday. Dear Lord, guide us and direct us as commissioners. Give us the wisdom to make the best decisions for the county and this commissioner's meeting today. In your name we ask this prayer. Amen.
Thank you. Okay, we'll begin tonight with a public hearing, which I will open at this point. The public hearing is for the Rural Operating Assistance Program, ROAP, which is a Mountain Projects transit matter. I think we have Patsy Dowling with us tonight, the Executive Director of Mountain Projects. Patsy.
Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce you to Alex Alman, who is our public transit manager, and this is his first public hearing. And Alex has replaced Susan Anderson, so he is here with me today. Mountain Projects, on behalf of Haywood County, is seeking to submit a funding application to the North Carolina Department of Transportation for a program called the Rural Operating Assistance Program, which funds 3 allocations of funding for our community. The EdTap money, which is the Elderly and Disabled Transportation, for a request of $65,441. The Employment Transportation Assistance Program, which would be administered through the Department of Social Services, $22,260. And the Rural General Public Program, $68,342. We're seeking public comment on this funding application, which is due later this week, and does reflect a deficit or a decrease in funding of 18% for our county for the upcoming year.
Okay. This is an annual application.
It is an annual application.
Is there anyone present who would care to comment on the subject matter of the public hearing? Again, it's a North Carolina Department of Transportation grant. 2 mountain projects. It occurs annually. Any commissioners have any questions or observations? Okay. Thank you, Patsy. Then, if there's no one who cares to speak regarding this matter, I will close the public hearing. We generally wait 2 weeks until our next meeting to address the subject matter of a public hearing. In this instance, however, the state of North Carolina and the Department of Transportation has a deadline for submission of this grant application, and so we'll have to act on that tonight, and I'll be asking for the rules to be suspended to do so. Okay, we'll move to the public comment session. 2 people have signed up to speak. First is Mr. Tom Ezel. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Chairman. It's a easy name to spell, but not always easy to pronounce. I'm here on behalf of Folkmoot USA. I'm a volunteer. Our fearless executive director, Karen Babcock, is in Germany now attending the International Conference on Folk Festivals, somewhere in mid to northern Germany. So I told Karen when she left that I'd come this evening to thank the county commissioners once again for that extremely generous gift of the historic Hazelwood School, which is now owned by Folkmoot USA, and to talk just for a second about the impact of that generous gift. We have started a fundraising campaign. If you saw the Mountaineer today, you probably saw the article that Wells Fargo Bank has just given $25,000 to this campaign. We're in the process of raising $2 million. $1.3 million plus of that was in the form of the historic Hazelwood School. So again, I thank you for that. The impact of that is going to reverberate through the entire community. We are receiving extremely encouraging results from our fundraising efforts, and so the value of the gift that you made to Folkmoot will extend way beyond its real financial value, because it'll help us raise additional funds, and it gives us a focus on the future that will help us raise even more funds. So again, on behalf of Folkmoot and all those who benefit from its presence in this community, I'd like to thank you. The other purpose of my visit this evening is to extend an open invitation to the county commissioners to attend an event by Taliha, which is a Serbian folk dance company. They will be here in Waynesville for several days, and they will be doing a presentation in 2 schools, Clyde and I think perhaps Hazelwood Elementary School. They'll be doing programs there. And then 2 weeks from tomorrow, which may seem a bit of a compromise since it's election day, and I suspect that some of you will be busy on that day. Nevertheless, as evening draws nigh on that day, November 4th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, we would like to extend you an open invitation to come and hear and watch Taliha, which is an extremely energetic, world-renowned dance troupe from Serbia. There is on the internet, there is about a 4 or 5 minute video of their visit to Folkmoot in 2012. And if you haven't seen them, I would encourage you to look at that. You'll be jumping out of your seat just watching these people. They are absolutely phenomenal. So they'll be here in 2 weeks from tomorrow, and we simply would love to have you all there. And to that end, we extend an open and cordial invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the invitation. Okay, second speaker is Janey Benson. Good evening.
Thank you and good evening. I'm here on a very serious mission tonight, but I want to say, as a former student of the old Haywood School, we appreciate all you're doing for that program over there. Tonight, I want to thank all the people who serve on our Board of Elections. My understanding is our Board of Elections works in a way that is envious of many other boards of elections. This is one of the most critical, if not the most critical thing that we ever do is vote. As a person who lived in a country where voting was never heard of, actually I lived in 2 countries where you could not vote, never heard of, I get goosebumps when I think about how we waste our voting ability. So I'm standing here tonight to encourage all of us, to encourage our people to vote. I cannot really say that I don't care how you vote, because of course I do, but I don't care if you vote. Everybody needs to vote. We are Americans. It's what we do. This is our right, our privilege, and thank you all for all that you put into the voting process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Benson. Okay. Is there anyone else present who would care to address the board? Okay, then I'll close the public comment session and move to constituent concerns. Michael?
Just like to mention that we were here yesterday for the 211th Return Home celebration, and it was a very uplifting event, and nice time to be from Haywood County and enjoy welcoming home the 211th.
Yeah, along those lines, I just I'll, add on to what Michael said, that I was they don't do a parade and a welcome home the way they did in Waynesville. And the Army General, I think, made that us aware of that. And then I know Michael talked to some folks that were from Raleigh with the National Guard and were here, and they said that this is we're the exception to the rule. And really, every community ought to have what we did yesterday. And I want to thank our staff, Ira, and all our staff. I know Dale and Gerald with maintenance was out there putting out chairs and seeing the stands and everything there's a lot of behind the scenes things that have to happen and a lot of planning. And I know Ira spent several hours doing that. So I want to thank our staff, and Ira, I wish you to extend that to all of them because they're not here. But and I'm glad that they were, that the good Lord brought them home safely, and that they're back with their families. And I just want to make that comment.
Okay. Yeah, I would echo those comments, and also thank the school system for making the 2 high school bands available for the parade as well. That was a nice touch. Kirk?
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I appreciate the sheriff and the deputies and the bailiffs that worked as well. I don't think they were recognized yesterday. And I know they had to attend fairly early as well. And hearing the comments that were made yesterday, it's very evident of the sacrifice that some people make for our country, for us to live the way we live and vote the way we vote. And you don't realize what you have and how easy it is to go home every night and eat supper every night when you think about what those guys were doing. I mean, some of the things they were doing, the most dangerous things you could do. Checking to see who had the bombs and who was coming in and out of a place. I mean, those are the very people that they blow up and try to kill. And so how would you like to wake up every day and knowing you had to go out there and you didn't know what was coming at you? And so it's very impressive. And those kids, they were kids. A lot of them were kids. And so it's a good thing to go to something like that. And I was proud to be a citizen of Haywood County yesterday.
Bill?
One thing that stands out in my mind when thinking about the Vietnam War, we didn't do this type of thing with our soldiers coming back from Vietnam. So I've had a lot of them that have been in parades in our county since then say, this is the first time that anybody's ever thanked me for going overseas and being in a war. And I echo what everybody else is saying. We brought 100. They're really kids, Kurt. I looked over there. They look like high school kids. We brought 100 back to their families, and something I didn't realize. It's going to take them a while to readjust to coming back from that situation. I know my mother said, going back to World War II, it took my dad a long time to settle down. If a car horn went off, he thought there was an 88 coming in on him. So we don't know what they experience there. So it takes a while, and we're very thankful of everybody that attended.
And they've had multiple deployments as well. This was just happened to be the last one, and hopefully the final one for them. It's a different era today, as you point out. The Vietnam era, I was in the military at the time, and you were not very popular.
No,
it's changed. I think the attitudes of our citizenry have changed. Okay, I don't think we have any administrative or agency reports. We do have one adjustment to the agenda. You'll notice that a closed session is listed. If there's no objection, I'm going to remove that. The subject matter will be addressed at our next board meeting. Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. We've had the opportunity to review the October 6, 2014 regular meeting minutes. Are there any changes to those? If not, we'll move to the second item of the consent agenda. David Francis. Welcome,
Hello,
David.
Commissioners. Hope everybody enjoyed the beautiful weekend we had, and appreciate you mentioning the 211. I heard that was a great celebration. I wish I could have been here, part of that. Before you have the September releases and refunds. Before you, only one thing to report. Unusual, we had a large tract of land that was sold to a conservation group out of Maryland, 700-acre tract, that will soon be turned over to the National Park Service sometime next year. So that was the only thing unusual report this month.
Okay. Any questions of David? Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Any observations or questions about the consent agenda? If not, would entertain a motion that the consent agenda as presented be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we'll move to the first item of new business. We'll need a motion to begin with to suspend the rules due to the state deadline for submission of this grant. As I mentioned earlier, we typically wait 2 weeks as is per our policy. So I would entertain a motion at this point that the rules be suspended in order to accommodate this application.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. And we'll now entertain a motion to approve the Rural Operating Assistance Program application to the state of North Carolina for fiscal year 2014-2015.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, we'll move to Julie Davis, who has some appointees by the fire departments to the Firefighter Relief Fund Board of Trustees. Julie?
What you have there is actually a form from 13 of our fire departments, the rural fire departments, and it lists their board of trustees, and specifically there's the Firefighters Relief Fund trustees appointed by the county commissioners. There's 2 listed on each of these. These have not changed since last year, but we've decided since sometimes the board changes, the commissioners change, we're going to be bringing these to you every year because we have to submit these to the state every November. So we'll be bringing them in October of each year.
Okay. And the fire departments appoint 2, the insurance commissioner appoints 1.
Yes.
And the county commissioners appoint 2. This year, it's, again, is Mr. Gary Taylor and Mr. Bill Edwards. If there's no objection, entertain a motion that Mr. Taylor and Mr. Edwards be reappointed.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's
And you
unanimous.
actually have 13 different fire departments, but none of them have changed instead of just the 2.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. Okay, we have the third item, which is a letter to Evergreen Packaging. You may recall that there's been several conversations and actions regarding the natural gas expansion project at Evergreen, and efforts by this board to obtain grant funding for Evergreen, and efforts to have state legislation passed favorable to Evergreen to retain the jobs that that company provides. Ira, do you have a letter, I believe, about that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. Yes, I have a letter addressed to Mr. Claypool, who is with Evergreen, stating that whereas Evergreen has been an integral part of life and work in Haywood County, we are pleased to be able to provide the tax credits that will help update the mill update its technology and to better meet the EPA standards. This letter explains the tax credits and shows the ones that will go out. It is consistent with prior guidelines that you have set forth on 3 occasions, 2001, 2004, and 2009. There were discussions in similar matters of tax credits, and consistent in that it's a 5-year 50%, which is also what's required tax credit over the taxes that would be due, which is what's required on the JMAC. And that is the taxes due on the new construction pieces. So it does not impact the taxes that would already be due based on what is sitting there. So this would be only as to the new construction pieces with JMAC money.
This is in addition to the $12 million grant from the state, is that?
This concerns the $12 million grant from the state, and then additionally, as part of that requirement, the county on those, whatever they build with that, and what the plant matches with that new construction, the county is required to give back as a tax credit half of the new value that will be added to the plant as part of that construction.
This is part of the JMAC requirements that the county be a partner to this, and this is our part of it.
Yes.
And you know, of course, I've been working on this for quite some time, along with Mr. Clasby within the EDC, and this has been we've been talking about this for a long time, and you know, this was part of it, and, and we knew that if we could get the state grant for $12 million, that this would be part of it. So now they're applying for it, so we have to participate.
Yes.
And the construction, additional value afforded by the construction is entirely consistent with our policy. So we're not doing anything outside of what we've done before and what we've previously approved. And there are 1,000 jobs that we're trying to save.
This is
very
for job
important.
retention. You have the other policies focused a little more on job expansion. This is job protection. It would be consistent with the first policy, in my opinion, yes.
Right. Okay, any other observations, questions? Okay. If not, then would entertain a motion that the letter as presented in our packet to Mr. Claypool, Matthew Claypool of Evergreen Packaging be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'll sign that and get it on its way. Okay, again, we have Mr. Francis with us for a discussion regarding a parcel on Spellbound Road in Waynesville for bids.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before you have an offer to purchase a county-owned property that came to the county by way of foreclosure that my office did back in April of 2012. It is a 3.66 acre tract in the Cataloochee Estates subdivision. It's a pretty nice lot. I visited it before we sold it, and there's one nice building site on there. I would consider this offer a little bit low for the quality of this lot.
The offer is $1,000.
Yes, sir, it's only $1,000.
What's the tax value?
$45,700.
But it will go out for upset bid, and people will have the opportunity to bid on this thing.
If the commissioners accept the bid of $1,000, then we are required to advertise it, and it stays open for 10 days, and somebody could upset it at that point.
What
But the
are
commissioners give the the thumbs up or down on the actual initial bid.
How much tax is owed and how much costs has the county incurred?
The taxes, of course, stopped once the county took the property, so that we've not billed anything for 13 or 14. But at the time of the foreclosure was $3,031, and we had about $3,000 worth of fees in it as well. This was one of the properties that the Van Winkle law firm handled for us before that we made the transition of bringing them more in-house.
So taxpayers have about a $6,000 investment in this property.
Correct. Hard cost about the $3,000.
You have any recommendation?
As I said earlier, I think the bid is low.
So we, if you think the bid's low, then we need to reject it and send it back out.
I would
think
I would concur.
of what we have invested in it.
Yeah.
So we can't make a counter?
No.
Okay.
We cannot. Yeah,
So we just reject the bid?
It's either yes or no. That's correct.
Okay.
Some of the other lots that we've brought before you in the pieces of land have, had, issues like the one at Ghost Town that Commissioner Inslee had surveyed a long time ago in that subdivision and some other things. But this was one of our better lots.
Can we set minimum bid?
I see no reason why we can't. I see nothing in the statute that would say we couldn't do that. So I think we can.
I mean, if we've got, other lots like this that we have taxes owed and costs have been incurred, I don't think it's unreasonable to have a minimum. What do y'all think?
No, I don't think so at all.
How much we have in it, was it 6?
It's around 6.
Over 6, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, 3,000 of hard costs. The taxes aren't paid yet, so that there's not
You
realized
got
money.
basically interest too. I mean, if you.
Yeah, the interest is frozen at the time of the foreclosure.
And it is a good lot, nice lot.
It is a nice lot. Yeah, it's 3.66 acres, so almost a 4-acre lot. A slight elevation, but nothing.
This may be something we would want to.
If it pleases the board, then we can go back and redo our guidelines for.
That's what I was going to suggest.
But we'd need to redo those as well and put a minimum And we'd have to come up with what is that minimum standard? Is it, is it the taxes, or is it the hard cost that, the county's incurred on, on the actual foreclosure? Those minimums we'll have to, decide. And
I think it'll be both.
It'd be both? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's what we have in it. And that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
If it's buildable, people probably don't know about this either. I mean, the bidder, was that a neighbor, you think? Or?
No, it was somebody who came in. They were from out of town and were researching. They bought a similar property from the town of Waynesville, came by the courthouse and found, we have a display of the properties that the county has for sale. And he went and looked at these properties and found this is, the one that suited him.
Okay. Is that the only way we have to advertise those? I mean, do we have a website where we can have foreclosure properties and?
We do actively, our foreclosures that are inactive that we're getting ready to sell, but I don't, we put these up for a little bit and we've not put them back up there, just seeing that interest there.
If you did a Google search of foreclosures in Haywood County, if that popped up, if we had a list.
Yeah, we're about down to 5 properties at this point.
That'd be an easy way for some people to check. I mean, I don't know how hard that'd be to do
that's
that.
not a problem to do. No problem.
Okay.
I think we ought to have a web page and list all the properties that the county has that's been foreclosed on, have the minimum bid, which.
And, we can, also do the other properties that the county has for sale too.
Right.
As part of that, because, I'll be glad to work with, David Teague and I have worked together on several other projects. Not a problem to do this as well, too.
If you're just clicking around, that might spur some interest, or I can tell somebody where to go click.
Yeah, click, 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 click. Okay,
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
right.
Well, I think I'm hearing a consensus develop that we think this bid is too low and should be rejected, and that David should advertise it for sale with a minimum of the taxes owed and the costs that the county has incurred.
Okay.
Okay, so I would.
Are we saying that for all properties from now on?
Well, I don't.
Or do we
My
have to
suggestion
have
would be that we
policy?
deal with this one tonight and ask David to bring back his guidelines for our approval, so that we can have a system to determine exactly how we're going to do this and arrive at those values in the future.
Okay, sure.
Is that okay?
No problem. Yeah, no
okay.
problem.
All right. So then I would entertain a motion that the property bid, as set forth from Mr. Swindell on Lot 102 of the Cataloochee Mountain Estates, be rejected.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's
Thank you.
unanimous. Thank you, David. All right. The fifth item of new business is the proclamation that was read yesterday in honor of the return of the 211th Military Police Company, as has been discussed. I read that proclamation yesterday, but I think it is of sufficient importance that it be read again. I would ask Kirk if he would read that.
I'll be happy to. This is a proclamation and celebration of the return of the 211th Military Police Company and in recognition of their service to our nation. Whereas the 211th Military Police Company is based in Haywood County and comprises well over 100 soldiers, many of whom make our community their home. And whereas the 211th Unit was called to duty in September 2013 and deployed in November to serve our nation in Afghanistan. And whereas the 211th Unit has previously served our nation in Desert Shield and Desert Storm in Iraq, Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, Operation Iraqi Freedom in Iraq, and in support of public safety efforts in response to Hurricane Katrina. And whereas the 211th Unit has provided invaluable support to Haywood County during local emergency response events. And whereas the members of the 211th Military Police Company have successfully completed their assignment in Afghanistan and have returned home to rejoin their families and resume their lives. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Haywood County Board of Commissioners expresses our heartfelt gratitude and appreciation to the members of the 211th Military Police Company for their bravery and service to the United States, and encourages the people of Haywood County to join us in honoring the members of the 211th and in welcoming them back into the life of this community. And we're adopting it this 20th day of October 2014.
Thank you. Any additional observations? I know we've all spoken to the event yesterday, and how good it was. So if there are no further observations, I would entertain a motion that the proclamation as read be approved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you. The sixth item of new business is a contract not to exceed $31,300 with Benell Lammons Engineering, known as BLE, for the evaluation of soils being moved to the Francis Farm landfill. Mr. Dove.
Good
Or
afternoon,
Stephen Key,
Chairman,
whichever.
Commissioners.
Afternoon.
This is a multi-year contract with BLE to help us with the evaluations of the soils on the 209 project. There's essentially more soil than we need on the 209 project, so they're going to help us identify the best areas where we do some excavating out there for the soils that we need. They're also going to help train Haywood County staff to identify some of the soils that we need, give us some oversight for this, help with the sampling of the soils, and also at the end kind of give us a summary of what kind of soils we have on site to be able to do what we need to do with the ACM project. So this is not to exceed $31,300. Is there any questions or comments on this?
Not just any soils will do. You have to have
That's
sufficient quality for the purpose of compaction and so forth at the landfill cap. Right?
That's correct. There's some soils out there that's not desirable. They're going to help us identify those areas.
Okay. And they will be training some of our county personnel
Yes,
to
sir, that's correct.
Recognize what soils can be used and which ones can't.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any questions of Stephen or Ira? This is just a continuing saga of Francis Farm landfill and
Yes,
what we're
sir.
going through to be in compliance with state law. So I would entertain then a motion to approve the contract BLE for the evaluation of soils as described.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you. Next up, we have our sheriff, Greg Christopher, to discuss a grant funding for the North Carolina 911 Board.
Mr.
Welcome,
Chairman,
Sheriff.
Commissioners, I'm pleased to announce that Haywood County has been chosen by the North Carolina 911 Board to receive nearly $2.7 million in the form of a grant to update and relocate our 911 Emergency Operations Center and our Sheriff's Office communications back to our Sheriff's Office. This grant came to Haywood County due to the dedicated service and hard work of Ms. Shanda Morgan, our Communications Director, and other county employees in IT, maintenance and facilities, and finance. I want to say that this is a much-needed improvement for our county in many ways, and this will enhance our ability to operate much more efficiently when lives are in danger. Also, I would like to introduce and thank Mr. Phil Penny of Mission Critical Partners, who has assisted us greatly through the grant phase of this project and now is ready to move forward with the second phase. Before I give Mr. Penny the microphone, I would like to formally request approval from the board to accept the contract from the 911 Board after whatever questions that you may have for Mr. Penny and myself.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. I just want to just sort of reiterate what the sheriff has already said. This the grant application process is extremely competitive. Every year, there are a number of grants that are submitted, and every year there's some folks that go away with not getting what they asked for. There's only so many they can fund. This year, there were 6 grants that were submitted, and out of the 6, 4 were granted. And I'm proud to say that Haywood County was one of those. So it is very competitive. There's a very sophisticated group that operates within the 911 board on the grant committee. That there's a scoring matrix, and if you really haven't done your homework on this grant, you will not get funded. So as the sheriff said, there was a lot of work, a lot of hard work that his staff did along with a lot of the county staff, and I'm thrilled to death, being a former 911 director from Raleigh, to be able to be a part of being able to assist the sheriff and give them something that's really going to be state of the art and something that I think all of you will be proud of.
Okay. Well, thank you, and thank you for your assistance. I've talked to the sheriff about this, and it will definitely be an asset to our county.
It certainly will. It's much needed, and with the drawings and the architectural plans that I've saw, it will enhance our operations totally.
Yeah. When you're dealing with 911, seconds matter. So anything we can do that will enhance the efficiency is certainly welcome. Chip, have you had a chance to review the contract?
Yes, I have. It looks fine. Sure have.
Okay. Any questions of the sheriff or county attorney?
Just thank you all for doing what you, I mean, we know this is much needed, and we know what it's going to do for this county and for law enforcement, 911. Thank everybody that participated in this, and I thank for all the hard work.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I would reiterate that. I know you gave Chanda some credit for that, but apparently she probably deserves most of the credit.
Hey, she carried the ball for
And
us.
she's here this
she is
evening
here
with
with
us,
us.
Chanda Morgan.
Yeah.
So just want to thank you for that.
Yep. Yeah, thank you. Okay, if there's no further comments, then we'd entertain a motion that the contract for the grant funding from the North Carolina 911 Board for the update and consolidation and relocation of the 911 EOC to the Sheriff's Office be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Second?
Michael.
Yeah, I second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Mr. Penny. Okay, the last item of new business is our county manager with a request from the North Carolina Department of Natural Resources.
Yes. The North Carolina Department of Environment and Natural Resources has requested access to the property around the courthouse to check for subsurface contamination associated with the dry cleaning facility located at known as Central Cleaners, located at 44 Church Street, Waynesville. So they have requested permission, and I've spoken with Mr. Villa, who's one of the engineers on this project that they have hired, regarding what they are seeking. This dry cleaner closed several years ago, and there has been some recorded subsurface contamination that has migrated through town from Church Street towards this direction. And there also was an auto shop that used to be between here and there that is no longer there. It's a parking lot. So that they are looking for the contaminants. They have a proposed map which was posted with this, and I spoke with them regarding the placement of first grab samples. They would come through and do some small sampling, and then possibly placement of a monitoring well. From what I can gather in the conversations and the review of the map, the placement of the grab samples are behind the courthouse. One appears to be in the mulch, one appears to be back here sloping towards the parking garage. One, it's very hard to tell from the map whether they're looking right at the EMS parking lot or whether they're looking right beside it. And there is a third that is located in between those two. They also looked at a possible monitoring well that they want to put over between here and the Justice Center that appears to be right where you've done some construction recently. My request would be that I get your permission. I think that if they're looking at contamination, we probably do want to cooperate to make sure that everything is safe. However, I would request that I be able to talk with them a little further and get some approval to, so long as they can work with us on the placement of those so that they don't disrupt EMS if they actually want to put that in the parking lot after they take a closer look versus beside it, and so that we could put any monitoring wells back off of areas so it wouldn't really affect any construction or anything that's been done.
Okay. I would think that we certainly wouldn't want to grant carte blanche access at this point, but very conditional access until we know And I would recommend that we not give any approval for any wells yet until we know precisely what their plans are and where they intend to put them and how it's going to look and would it interfere with anything.
The grab samples would be much less than the wells. My understanding is that those are about 1 foot, probably post hole kind of things from what the engineer was explaining. The well would be, we have monitoring wells. That's a significantly different proposition. We have them at Francis Farm, so they're much bigger.
Well, what happens if we don't provide access?
I have not asked that question of Dean, or this is a request.
Well, I'm just curious as if we provide access and they find some type of contaminant, and I can't imagine that, I mean, we're dealing with something that's migrated from Church Street?
Yes.
Which is, I mean, how far away is Church Street?
2 blocks away.
So, from a dry cleaning business. And if they find some type of contaminant, which the likelihood of, I mean, they may find something, the likelihood of it being some type of danger to anyone here is probably pretty slim. But I guess what I'm asking, if they do find something, who's responsible for that cleanup? If they find that they want to clean something up. I mean, I've dealt with Diener on occasions where I like Diener and they do good work and that's great, but then I've dealt with them and, you know, I just want to know what path we're going down.
I can certainly.
I mean, because I've seen people have to clean things up that I don't think should have had to been cleaned up. Not, you know, we're not talking about oil spills in the Gulf. We're talking about, well, you've seen the type of things that they do and so I just want to make sure. I want to know what path we're going down when we start granting access when we don't have to. And I'm not trying to hold up something.
I know, I agree with you.
I think they're just trying to find the path of least resistance, and they're coming to the public properties is what I think.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Now, one thing we saw at Francis Farm is streams and natural conditions can stop the migration of some things anyway, the gas out there. We're uphill from Church Street, aren't we?
The topography.
No, we're downhill from Church.
Yeah, we're downhill. Yeah.
Is it okay?
Part is downhill. Part, if you go to Main Street with the slope.
Yeah, you walk up the street.
So.
Okay. Well.
It's not enough information, Mr. Chairman, to make a decision.
Would you like to put this on?
I think we need more information.
Mr. Chairman, maybe the county manager and I ought to try to get on a conference call with them and seek a little more clarification as to not only where they would do it, but what obligation are they going to impose upon themselves to return the property to its original condition? And who is the responsible party? In this case, they probably don't have a true responsible party because it escaped many years ago from an owner of many years ago. I don't think that the responsible party would be the current owners. So they do have funds that they can use sometimes, access sometimes for these cleanups, but we need to know what their plans are for cleaning it up if there is something, if something's found. We certainly need to know that. And so maybe Ira and I should get on a call with them and get some clarification.
And not create an eyesore after cleaned up.
They have discussed with Town of Waynesville this as well.
Yeah. Kevin's making a point that with mapping and so forth, perhaps if we could do this research and then make that a topic in our work session that we have yet to schedule for late November or early December so that we could discuss this and look at the maps and hopefully have more definitive information from the state.
Right.
I will get more information. There is a contact on this information that I have.
Okay. I think that's a good solution. Good idea, Kevin. Anything else on this topic? Okay. Is there any other business for the board? If not, would entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're in adjournment. Thank you.